When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. This is No More Room in Hell, a recent but highly interesting mod of Half-Life 2, which pits you and up to 7 other players against legions of the undead. The most interesting part of this Steam greenlit game, however, is, wait for it, it's free. And I don't mean that there are microtransactions lying in wait to bleed your wallet dry. No, this game, at the moment of this video, is 100% free with no charges and no strings attached. But, do you get what you pay for? Sort of yes, and sort of no. Let me explain. For what it is, No More Room in Hell is arguably great, but that's not to say that it can't get quickly repetitive. The indie dev team did an excellent job of making this their own by making it feel unique to other zombie survival titles like Left 4 Dead. But that is both its core strength and weakness. You see, this game is not fast and frantic, and the shooting mechanics take a decidedly more realistic approach. You will need to aim carefully and time your shots to make them count because ammo is scarce, and you do not want to be caught with just a melee weapon between you and a horde of the undead. You actually die rather quickly as well, usually about 3 chomps and you're out. But this leads to another interesting aspect of gameplay. You can become infected after being bitten and slowly die, then turn. Once you're infected, you can choose to alert your group, and they can give you the old Yeller treatment, if you know what I mean. Or, you can keep your trap shut, turn into a shambling monster with an appetite for your team's juicy innards. Problem is, you can't control your now undead avatar. But you can enjoy the show from the spectator mode. So it kind of balances out, but not really. There are 2 game types which are standard fare. You have an objective-based game mode where the idea is to rush supplies to a designated zone, all the while swimming through waves of the undead. And then you have survival, which is self-explanatory. Hold out for as long as possible before you succumb to the molting masses. Another thing to note is that you may spend a great deal of time in spectator mode. If you join a server that is already in session, then you may be forced to watch a game that may take upwards of an hour or more to complete. So more than likely, you'll be server hopping constantly until you find a game that you can actually play. Since this is a free title, I can't knock it too badly. If this game was anything other than free, I might take issue, because it's a nice distraction or time killer at best, but quickly gets repetitive and suffers from slow and at times boring gameplay. Still, since it's free, I definitely recommend anybody give it a shot since you really have nothing to lose. Do you enjoy a challenge? Okay, good. Now, do you enjoy a challenge that borderlines masochistic? Okay, then do I have a game for you. This is Rogue Legacy. This is a charming indie title that caters to your obsessive completionist side. And the way that it does this is to hand your ass to you repeatedly and making progress in very small increments at a time. There isn't much in the way of story, but if you are expecting one, then you'll be hard-pressed to find it here. The core mechanic of Rogue Legacy is to guide your character into a hellhole, or rather, a medieval manor, where everything wants your blood. The idea is to collect as much gold as possible, before your character becomes a permanent fixture of the manor walls. Every time you die, and you'll be doing that a lot, you can choose one of 3 heirs, which is a random mashup at best. There's a mage type, a paladin type, and a barbarian type, all with their own unique abilities, but even better, their own traits. That sounds all well and good, but some character traits can actually be a terrible detriment, like having a character with low IQ and cannot perform magic attacks correctly. There are also humorous and quirky traits like monochrome vision, where the character is colorblind and sees only in black and white, or the character that has vertigo and can only walk on ceilings. Yes, this is a real thing. With the gold that you collect, you can buy upgrades such as health, armor, weapons, and accessories. But you have to spend your gold wisely, because once you die and you want to re-enter the manor, you get knocked back to 0 gold, which I personally find a bit annoying and only serves to pad out the length of the gameplay. Every time you re-enter the manor, the layout changes dramatically, which can be good or bad. It can work in your favor or create the fuel of night terrors. You, however, can unlock an architect who can lock down the previous layout if you enjoyed your last outing, but at a fee, of course. There are hidden treasures, collectibles, bosses to fight, which all serve to keep the gameplay interesting, but I personally found that the progress in the beginning is agonizingly slow and requires some serious patience and persistence. If you're in the mood to do yourself some psychological harm, then give Rogue Legacy a play.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of...
Have you ever had a debate with someone about the validity of video games being a legitimate form of art? For those that believe that games are not an artistic form of self-expression, then I challenge them to sit down and play the Stanley Parable for at least a half an hour. The Stanley Parable is widely viewed as a form of interactive art, with good reason, of course. It is definitely a satire of varying issues and challenges you to actually open your mind and think about small topics like cliches in video games, all the way to gaping topics such as the pointless monotony of existence itself. It does this in a very subtle yet effective way through the narrator's dialogue, who I must admit did a terrific job of holding my attention throughout the entire experience. There has been a lot of debate whether or not the Stanley Parable is actually a game or just interactive art. In my opinion, it is very much both. A lot of critics seem to forget the fundamentals which construct a game. You need an objective, and this game certainly has one. You will be constantly curious to take new paths each playthrough to discover new and funny dialogue, or discover the various endings, which there are many of. So, that covers objectives and endings, both of which are present, albeit just barely, but still enough to consider this a game. For me to truly explain this game at length would do it a great injustice. I sorely recommend that if you have not yet played the Stanley Parable, then you owe it to yourself to give this unique experience a playthrough for yourself.
It's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me?